Okay, I am just leaving the UAE's pavilion and thoroughly blown away by it, actually. So what I'm going to do is show you some of the highlights of the visit. And you know, the pavilion has significance for multiple reasons. I mean, one certainly is the fact that in 2020, the next World Expo will be held in Dubai. And so when you exit, as I'll show you at the end of the video, the Expo Pavilion, you get a sense of what that's going to be like. They give you an overview of, you know, basically the coming attractions. And actually, we're going to pass by the UAE's pavilion, and I have to say it's probably one of the busiest ones, as you'll see here. Amazing, amazing, immersive experience. You can see how busy it is now. Everybody is queuing up, so it's like really, I think, a highlight. That was my first visit here at the Expo, and as you can see, the line is way long, and no doubt due to the fact that it's one of the most immersive and I think important pavilions here at Expo 2015 Milan. In fact, the last time this is the second time I tried to go to the pavilion. First time I waited about 25 minutes, and then unfortunately I just ran out of time. I was meeting others. So what I'll do is I'll take you around and show you some of the sights and sounds of the pavilion. I think what impressed me the most was that the experience was so varied. So you start in this courtyard, and you know, the architecture itself, like many of the other buildings at the Expo, is very evocative. It's meant to resemble sand dunes, flowing sand dunes, and it's designed by Norman Foster, one of the world's great and most famous architects whom you may know. So as you enter the pavilion, you first see these small boxes, and I think, you know, the minute you see these, you begin to see the innovation that is here at the Expo. These boxes use multiple forms of technology, and what I liked is how throughout the Expo exhibits, pavilion exhibits, there were so many different uses of technology. And I think the thematic of the old and the new, as you'll see in one of the films that's presented, is maintained also through the technology that's used. So as you'll see these boxes here, that was one key aspect of how you sort of have this merging of the old and the new. And then secondly, you'll see at the end of the pavilion, there is a feature that addresses, you know, what's coming up in Dubai in terms of the next Expo. Same thing. You have these, you have this very immersive cinema experience, and you have physical elements. I'll have to show you the video here because it's hard to describe. Physical elements that rise up, so these platforms, and then there's projection on the platforms, and then you also have an element that comes down from the ceiling. And you know, the fact that they did this, the fact that they used different types of technology, different types of cinema experiences, both at the beginning and the end of the pavilion, I think is highly, highly innovative. I was waiting for the announcement to end there. It's a little loud maybe in the video. Yeah, and then the other thing that you get in this exhibition is a very, you know, high production value experience in terms of a film, and I'll show you some of the video from that. Just looking at the line for the Italian pavilion, and it's really, really, really long, as are many of the lines here at the Expo. So you see this high production value cinema, multiple sensory elements. The subwoofers are pounding, lights. There is a scene in the desert where you feel, you know, air blowing, and so you get this like multi-sensorial sensorial experience as you're watching the cinema. And again, very high production value, symbolic cinema in terms of what's presented to the guest. I think very effective for conveying some of the ideas of this expo, as well as creating a connection to the future expo in 2020. So incredibly innovative, I think, in terms of how they produced this film. After you watch the film, there's a character, this young girl, and again, the old and the new is the thematic that is developed. So this character in the film is talking about or showing us how, life has changed in the UAE and the challenges of trying to think about creating a sustainable future. And so you leave the cinema, as you see here, and then you go into the next space, which is also a very innovative technological filmic experience that you get. And it ends with a dance performance, and again, keeping the same character of the girl throughout. It gives, I think, very, very good continuity in terms of what the guest sees and experiences. I'm actually going to turn around. It looks like the line for the Italian pavilion is really, really long. Might have to hit that tomorrow morning at opening. But after you leave the second cinematic experience, you go then into another part of the space. And the whole experience of doing the UAE's pavilion, very close to 40 minutes. Just the video is about 18-20 minutes in length, the two videos, and certainly one of the longest, I think, at the 2015 World Expo here in Milan. So when you exit then, that is starting to focus on the future, both the future of United Arab Emirates, looking at sustainability, looking at technologies of the future, dealing with population growth and like. And then there's also a focus, as I mentioned earlier, in this immersive cinematic experience, and I'll show you some of the video from that. So, overall, I just have to say that it is a absolutely amazing pavilion, certainly in the top in terms of, I think, the production value, the technology, again, the amazing architecture of Norman Foster that you have, and I think the message as well. They approached it in such a way that they merged some of the political and ethical themes. You'll even see here, I'll show you a running tally that they have of the issues that are considered most important to the visitors at this point in time to their pavilion. I really like that, and that's one of the many examples here at the World Expo 2015 Milan, in which you're using real-time technology to gauge the visitors' experiences, expectations, their own personal interests, political, ethical agendas, and so forth. And I think that's a very effective way to use technology in a sense that it gives a greater, I guess I would say, community experience to this particular pavilion. Again, I think it's an important space because it's also suggesting the transition to the 2020 Expo in Dubai. So, I mean, it's a pavilion that in multiple senses, I think, has significance and suggests some of the thematics that will be coming up in 2020. Okay, and so we'll focus again here at the beginning, looking at the pavilion. I thought it was one of the most remarkable structures in terms of the architecture, again, designed by Sir Norman Foster. People made comments about the fact that it was close to 60 million. I don't know if that was dollars or euros, but certainly an expensive pavilion. But I think the symbolic approach here, that sense of the flowing of the sands of the United Arab Emirates, I think was in a very effective way symbolically to present the exterior architecture for the guest. You see a shot here of some of the crowds, and again, one of the most crowded pavilions during my visit. And now we'll take a look at the guest perspective as you're walking through the structure. Really impressive, and the boxes that I mentioned in my initial narrative you can see here. This doesn't do justice, certainly, to these features. Very innovative, technological, hologram technologies. Again, a lot of very interesting, unique approaches here. Reminded me somewhat of what you see in the Italian pavilion, and I'm trying to capture the projection system here, and you can't quite do it. You just can't see it effectively, I think, on the camera. But one of the cool things here, if this is intended perhaps as a metaphor, is you can see through the boxes and you can see other guests there. So I liked how they approached the openness of this particular space and allowed the guests to see other guests on the outside, or on the opposite side rather, of these unique features here. Getting a little more perspective of how this works. And I think the other thing about this is it's very unique or innovative in that it allows for crowd control. When you think about the Expo and the popular pavilions, this is a great way to lessen the congestion in some of the areas, so you can thin out the crowd here before they move into the next shows, which are the two big time extravagant multimedia shows. Again, showing a little bit of the technology here. Maybe you can make some of this out, as you can see the innovative approaches here. And then as I leave this here in a second, I'll show you the first of the two media features. I won't show you the second one since my camera didn't capture that. But basically, as you walk through this area here, you enter into one of the two theatrical features. I'll play some of the audio here so you can hear what it sounded like as well.
Ora basta, silenzio! La nonna.
Sara, i compiti, adesso.
Assalamu alaikum, nonna.
Wa alaikum salam, Sara.
vestiti non vanno con questo caldo. Armani?
Armani Junior? No?
No. Sara, io penso di essere arrivata dal futuro.
Ah, d'accordo. Fatma? Abdallah?
La nonna. Il nonno.
Troppo sole.
Non preoccuparti, ti riportiamo a casa. Accendi il fuoco! Svelta!
Okay, and as we leave that particular media show, there's a second one, and this continues the thematics of change, continuity, the contemporary and the historic, and the charismatic girl who's in the first feature is also in the second one. And the second one is a pretty upbeat musical number. Unfortunately, my GoPro didn't record this, but I do have a few still images that I took just in case. But as you can see, a lot of focus on social media, on interconnections among people, and this was a thematic that certainly allowed the pavilion to connect the historic with the contemporary. After you leave that, you go through a series of here rather minimalist interior set pieces here. You see a lot of the native architecture. You also see some of the highlights in terms of issues of conservation and sustainability. And one of the things I'll show you at the end of the video feature is the fact that the next Expo in 2020 will have conservation and sustainability as part of the main themes or sub-themes of the Expo. Again, you see some of the design here, and our star from the show, who's also then, a feature here towards the end of the pavilion. Okay, and next we see one of what was, I thought, a really innovative technological feature here. You can see this map, this relief, buildings, structures, and then various forms of projection on top of it. So it was a really cool multimedia piece that you might see certainly in a major museum. Just think about the innovativeness of this as a presentation device for the guests. I think it was really one of the most remarkable ones. Even they're using the shadowing techniques of the airliners above. Now I want to show you yet another. This is towards the end of the pavilion, and this is the feature that is emphasizing moving towards 2020 and the next World Expo that is happening in Dubai. So let's listen to some of that sound now.
Sfide rivolgendoci ai protagonisti del cambiamento a cui offriamo finanziamenti e sostegno. Chiediamo al mondo di unirsi, pensare insieme, lavorare insieme, scoprire insieme
And again, as I mentioned earlier, just another remarkable technological feat inside the UAE Pavilion. And here you see on that same section, the Expo 2020 billboard. And it was interesting here, this second part of this video I captured. On top of that video, you get this three-dimensional structure that comes, I believe it moves up and down from that circular structure. And then at the end, we get the feature on the next Expo with the focus on the theme of progress, the drivers for innovation, and also the sub-themes of opportunity, mobility, and sustainability. And so, you know, this for me was an important pavilion in the Expo, not just because of its spectacular approach and its high value as a themed and immersive space, but the fact that it is ushering the way for the next Expo, which will be held, of course, in the United Arab Emirates. And in keeping with those themes of the next Expo, I like this. They had a billboard here, an electronic billboard, where they displayed the guests, that's in the Italian, we'll see it in English here, basically the guest's view in terms of many of these sub-themes, opportunity, mobility, sustainability, which were the most important for the guest. And for me, this was a very cool feature because I am all about when technology is being used, I think it should be used in very social and political senses, and certainly they did that here with this example of this technological feature. Hope you enjoyed this video feature today here at the Milan Expo, looking at the United Arab Emirates Pavilion. So please come back for additional video features of the Immersive Worlds Handbook.